Hey YouTubers, back at you with the Gravedigger. Brian's working on the Trail Finder project and the wheels. I wanted to give you a little update on the drive. We've driven it a couple times now. A couple things that I noticed was we drove it pretty hard. The truck wants to wheelie now, which is way better. The modifications we've done to it make it way more fun. And keep in mind, it's not a fast truck, it's not a big truck, it's not a race truck, it's just a fun play truck, and it's super fun. The things that we've done is made it way better. So anyway, give you a quick update on what we did. We've replaced the motor with a 20-turn axial motor out of our stock Wraith. We're running a 17-tooth pinion, and I believe it's a 54-tooth spur, which is a stock spur. That's the smallest pinion you can get with that spur. But anyway, so it's a relatively mild motor, and of course we've done the four-wheel drive, so now that the front tires turn. One of the things that we ran into was the tires aren't glued, so we did pop a bead off, you know, like that. One of the tires popped off, which we'll probably glue these. We were running it fairly hard and jumping it pretty hard, so it did pop off of there. Normally these would be glued. I'm also debating about whether or not to put foam in the tires. Go ahead and zoom out. When the tires don't have foam, what they do is they can cave in on themselves back and forth. So it kind of takes away the handling aspect of the tires, which this is not a well-handling vehicle, but still it may help. I'm not sure. The shock oil in the stock setup is probably a little bit light, but for just driving around on something flat, it worked very well. We were jumping it 4 feet off of a skate park, so we bottomed it out a couple of times, but we were jumping it quite a lot, you know, a long distance, so we did bottom it out, but everywhere else it ran pretty good. The other thing that we added was this little wheelie bar. Let me get a zoom in on that. So when the truck does wheelie, this little wheelie bar catches it before it flips over. These little prongs right here popped off quite a few times. We jumped it and the little wheelie bar came apart. It's really easy to snap back on, but it does want to zoom in. It does want to pop off of there pretty easily, and then your bar is kind of hanging there, so you have to pop it back in place, which isn't terrible difficult, but it does take a second. So we need to figure out something to put on here to keep that attached, because it popped off several times. But zoom out. But when I was running this, I landed like this several times, which caused that wheelie bar to come apart. This is a wheelie bar off of a Mini Revo, so it took a little bit of doing to get it to mount to this truck. The shock tower on this truck is a little bit different, so if you go ahead and zoom in, you can kind of see the setup we used on this vehicle to get our bar on there. This piece down here mounts up the same way as, say, a Mini Revo, but this top part has got the bumper and this little piece, so we sandwiched the wheelie bar bracket in between the two pieces to get that in there. It's not this wheelie bar is not necessarily designed for this truck, but without it, it just ends up on its lid all the time. So we wanted to put that on there so you guys can see kind of how we got that in there. Also, we're running two lipos in here. This is one of the lipos we're using in this truck. We're running two of them in parallel. This little speed control is 2.5 speed control. This one here will not run a series connector. This is a parallel connector that I've got on here, which basically means we are still sending the voltage from one battery to the speed control. So we're not doubling the voltage with this parallel connector. We're just connecting two batteries but not doubling the voltage. So we get twice the amps but the same voltage. So that works out very, very well. It gives it a little more torque to do the wheelies. So anyway, other than that, we'll show you how it ran, and you can kind of see how the four-wheel drive worked. I think it worked way better, and it's way more fun. It's definitely a modification that really paid off. And the other thing we did was we added a 2.4 radio to it, which I'm running these Fly Skies, and this radio is definitely a good bang for the buck. It does a very nice job. I've never had any issues with this radio, and it has more adjustments than the stock radio. Plus, I don't have that big antenna, and I'm not running into frequency issues. So this radio has been put inside here, and this is a little shorty antenna, so that came out way better. So all our modifications that we did were definitely a huge improvement. So anyway, with that, we'll give you a few videos of driving it. We'll see you next time.
Go.